Your mind wants to be busy with thoughts and intellect, but don't attach yourself to those thoughts. Just let them come in and go out. And the more you can keep your eyes closed and focused on the inside, the more your body can start to relax and realize that you deserve to have this moment where you can reconnect with the core essence that is within you. That unconditional love you feel from animals, it comes because it's connected in you. It doesn't come from the animal. They're just a conduit of you connecting with that essence of love that's inside of you. And so let's allow that to blossom by taking time whenever we need it to come back to that core essence of who we truly are. It can just simply be closing your eyes and doing deep breathing, and just remind yourself to do that regularly through the day if it's needed, particularly when you're with certain people that pull you away from that core source of love that's within you. And from this beautiful posture of love, let us now move into a channel from Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. There are so many of you who have asked the question, how much influence do I have? And so many of you are asking about yourselves, not just the planet. Some who are esoteric thinkers say this: how much influence can I have as an old soul about the baggage I came in with? This is a subject, and it's all about what some are calling the Akash. If you've not heard this before, it's a very popular subject these days, and even psychologists are beginning to realize that you come in with certain kinds of influences that are seeming to be baked into your consciousness, that they didn't come from anything you experienced on the planet. Somehow your personality comes in a certain way, and then it's also shaped by what you experience. If you're an esoteric thinker, if you believe perhaps in past lives, like 2/3 of the world does, you realize that there is a system called the Akashic Record. What happens in certain past lives seems to then come in with you, and there's a reason. Some have called it karma, and we have told you before that this is something in this new energy that we've asked you to drop completely. It's no longer needed. But you still have that which is the Akash. And the Akash is what you have experienced in past lives that comes in with you. In the past, this has a reason, so that you will then settle it, or perhaps act on it, or do something different to dismiss it. That has been the thinking, and it's been for centuries. This has started to shift and change. There are those who would be critical of that statement and say, no, these are bases of some kind of axioms of esoterics. They never change. They do change, dear ones, because you change. If the energy of consciousness is becoming more benevolent and the shift on the planet is before you, do you see how that would then change how you learn and what you learn with? And so what I'm going to tell you, I have said before, but you need to hear it again. How influential can you be on the baggage you bring in with you? Sometimes that baggage controls your life and you don't even know it. Lifetime after lifetime, perhaps of sorrow, lifetime after lifetime of dying early, perhaps, and you come in not expecting much from the planet. You come in and you don't smile much, very serious, wanting to know when the other shoe is going to drop. That's what it creates. And that's just something you come in with. And that's something that your parents deal with and your teachers deal with. And yes, your spiritual leaders deal with. How to get beyond that which seemed to be baked in to a consciousness when it arrived. That's the Akashic record. How much influence do you have on that? What I'm going to tell you next is known by the ancients' masters. You have full influence. I want to take you to a place in India called Varanasi. And for hundreds of years, in a teaching about karma, the Akash, they know that if they go to the river there and bathe in it, the belief is this, that they can influence that which was baked into them when they came, the Akash, the karma. And they can be free of it to a certain extent so that they can proceed with their lives, or the next time around it'll be different. In other words, their belief is what I'm telling you. So for those who are critical of this message, that you have power over your Akashic baggage that you bring in, I'll tell you this, it's not a Kryon statement. This is historic. It's part of the belief system of millions and millions of people already. But this may be new to you. How much influence do you have over what you think is something that is part of you and never will go away? The answer is this. This is a new energy on the planet. I've talked about it already. My partner has talked about it even in this program. We are going to start to see a change in what some call the light and dark quotient. Right now, even as I give this message, there are some listening to this perhaps for the first time who say, what is he talking about? There's war. We haven't had war for a long time. Suddenly there's war, and Kryon says it's getting lighter. I'll say it again if you haven't heard it. Isn't it interesting that we suddenly have a war? Who expected that? And the answer is, this is from those who wish to pull us backwards, pull you backwards, pull us as your guides backwards into a very old energy of war on this planet. It's the old circle of time. That's what you're seeing. And you also have seen the reaction to it from the planet. This is all new. Are you seeing this? If you're only simply seeing the news and seeing the horror of war, you've missed it. There's something bigger going on. This energy, this lighter energy, is going to be of compassion and kindness like never before. A world that's starting to see one another as they see their family, instead of some foreign individuals in a foreign culture with a foreign language. The internet has really helped that. But more than that, the collection, the coherence of consciousness, where you start to see one another so differently than you've ever seen each other before. And in that, there are new tools. The tool set that I'm talking about is the one that's starting to blossom in every human being. The DNA is changing, and we've told you that before. Some of you are starting to accept it, realize it, and move forward with it. Some who have felt nothing is possible in my life, I cannot change who I am or what I am, are starting to have an inkling to change your mind about a tool set that you might have that you never felt you did before. And you do. You really do. And part of that tool set is to fully and completely change that which you came in with that might affect your life. And the next question, and I know those of you who are listening and saying, okay, I believe that. It's true. How? Those in India said, well, you go to a certain place and do a certain thing. It's actionable things. And it still is. But you don't have to go to India. You don't have to bathe in the river. And even those things are limited compared to what you can do today. Would you like to drop inappropriate karmic things. Drop inappropriate, I will say for the time, Akashic remembrances. We have given you examples of this. The Circle of 12 has done the same thing. But I'll tell you this, there is so much power in intent. If you're really interested, you can start that process. Your intent to do so is seen as permission for you to change that was inside your DNA. That's where it's kept. I've told you that. Did you know that pieces and part of your DNA come with you from past lives, carrying certain things, the Akashic record for one? What do you do? Dear Spirit, I have intent to drop these things that I don't need anymore in this lifetime. Can you say that? Dear Spirit, right now, I am dropping those things that do not propel me into kindness and compassion and keep me from joy and peace. Dear Spirit, I am in charge of my own biology. My soul and I together drop the inappropriate things that would get in the way of peace, joy, compassion, and happiness, or the rest of my life. I now have that power, that ability, and I'm doing that in front of all who wish to watch. I am changing my DNA. And with that, I proclaim a new lightness of spirit, a new kind of kindness for myself, which will occur. One where I can look at myself in the mirror and say, I am indeed beautiful in the eyes of all that is, because I have God inside, because I no longer have a stone to carry around or pull me backwards. I am that I am. That is your power today. An empowerment that we are telling you is new and different and belongs to you. That is your lineage. That is why you came. Congratulations, dear ones, on what you are becoming. And so it is. Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. The element that is studied today is water. And we'll just tell you that that is water is life. And if there's any kind of a metaphor that would say, what does the element of water mean metaphorically to the human being? It is life itself. Life. You've had that which is the soul, you've had that which is consciousness, but life, how do you weigh the importance of that element? But beyond that, dear ones, you've already discovered that water in crystallized form will show the effect of love and compassion, consciousness. You already know that. There are those in this room who know about that which is the energies that are esoteric of the human being. Energies that were known from the ancients and processes that are used today, taking advantage of them, that Western medicine is just now discovering. So you also know the power of consciousness and how it changes the energies, how energies can be then altered by the way a human being thinks about themselves. There are those who use energy work who have discovered a long time ago that there are human beings who can sit and endure it and have no change, and then there are human beings who can sit and accept it and embrace it that will be healed. So what does that tell you about the meridians? Do they just sit there and do their thing, or are they like antennas that pick up the intent and the consciousness of the human being, amplify it, and go into the places that are designed for them to go into, and affect that which is at the cellular level, life itself, the water? Every process you can think of in this room that you have done or you may be an expert in seems to also know who you are when you do it. It's almost like it tunes in to the human being who is part of it all. If you go away with nothing from this series, I want you to remember this one thing. You are powerful. More than just powerful. You are selectively powerful. That is to say, you can design who you are. You can design the diseases you catch and heal. And how you think and what you perceive will lay upon you like a book. Like you can open it and read who you are. I'm afraid of this. I'll catch this. Or I'm going to survive no matter what because I will not catch this. I will not do this. This will not attach itself to me. I am a healthy person. My cells all agree. They cooperate. I know who I am. They know who I am. Which book is yours? No time in history is this more prevalent and more exciting than now. More is happening than you know. The shift that you have gone through at 2012 starts to move so many things, and it is incremental. So slow is it you may not even understand that it's moving. You'll have new processes and new ways to measure them. You'll start to see that which is the body's energy itself start to cooperate with the energies of the consciousness of the human being who is using them.
you'll start to see something we've told you before, and that is a move away from that which you've had, which you call allopathic. That there will be no more cures as you think of them, but more like healings and reversals as you design them. Instead of taking a pill that then is going to change some chemistry and at the same time perhaps have side effects, there's going to be a purity of consciousness imbued into whatever device you think, if any at all, put inside the human being, esoterically perhaps with consciousness or otherwise, and the body will recognize it. What do you call homeopathy? Is it a pill? No. It's a signal. The difference should be obvious. Homeopathy is not a drug. It's a signal. It's a signal that is designed to talk to that which is your innate. Your body sees the design, the message is complete, and the healing begins. What does the homeopathy tincture carry that is so remarkable? And why would a signal demand the body do something? And the answer is that with the signal that tells the body what to do, there is the instruction from the boss. That's you, because you are the one who put it under your tongue. And it was your intent imbued upon that which is the tincture. You're the boss talking to yourselves in a way perhaps that the ancients always knew about. When you do acupuncture, what are you really doing? Is the energy in the meridians, in the needles, in the esoterics of it? Or is it a signal? Using that which is the energies. And the signal is instructions. I know you're there, this is the meridian, this is what it does, and it comes from the intent of the one that is able to sit through it and say, it is my body, this is what I want. All of these messages being given to the human body, right to the life source, right to the water. What do you know about water? You can restructure it with consciousness. What do you know about the human bonding of the water to life itself? You can change it with consciousness. What have you already discovered through the ancients' processes that I've just mentioned? Healing. Instructions to the body. I want you to start seeing something. That there are more of these than you know. The affirmations that you're now speaking out loud is part of the issue of bringing it out and letting the ears hear it. Let it go into the consciousness and affect who you are. Meditation itself is so strong now because it's the human being with the intent giving instructions, not just energies, not just prayers. Do you see the difference between praying for something and instructing? Is it possible you can instruct the planet? Is it possible you can instruct yourselves? With all of this, do you think perhaps you could increase your lifespan? Stop aging to the degree that you are. A body ages because it doesn't have instructions. Are you listening to me? The body ages because it does not have instructions. You'll say, this is silly. The body ages naturally because of the way it rejuvenates or does not, because of the telomeres shortening, because of this and that. And I'll tell you, dear ones, it will do what it does if you just sit there and watch it. And that's the default of the way a body works without instructions. But when you start instructing it, then you give it the blueprint of how it reproduces and how it regenerates and how it chases away the inappropriate things. I'm telling you, you're in control. No more than any time in history, you are in control now. It's a greater way than you think. There's more going to be given. But I'll tell you this, I want you to look to the ancients and your ancestors. They had things that you've thrown away. Wisdom that you do not necessarily want to look up and read. Ways of getting along. Old adages and sayings that are so profound that you've cast away on the floor. Ceremonies that worked because the ones who did the ceremony were of like mind and understood what they were doing. Kryon, are you saying we should do ceremony? Yes, you should do it in your own way. In a modern way, perhaps. Maybe even at the office. Do you think something like that is possible? And the answer is yes. When human beings discover something that works, they'll do it. And ask questions later. This is what's happening. This is what's going on. Compassion in the workplace. This is what's going on in so many places around this planet that is unreported, that you don't know about. It will be years before the news will ever pick that story up. Not enough drama, you'd say. And yet it is the most dramatic thing that's happening on this planet. And it will eventually create compassion and peace where there wasn't peace, negotiation between countries that looks far different than it ever did before. That's coming. And for now, we say to you, dear ones, that you are needed to remain peaceful for what you see. To be better knowing and have better knowingness and consciousness and things that would frighten other people, and you know better. And you would say, this is not what it seems. Be peaceful. For your balance will then affect the others around you. And then in the end, they will come to you and say, you were right. Perhaps I should listen more. Perhaps I should look up that which is my ancestry and listen to them more. Perhaps I had to research what they believed and listen to that more. That's enough for now. And so it is. Of magnetic service. You study air, the fourth element. Here's another element which seems to be invisible. You can see it clearly. The wind carries it. It is the wind. But in general, it is something that is precious to you. You need it for life. Even more than water. You need it constantly, every moment. And there's an alliance in air with Gaia. If you would look at the metaphor in the human body, what would air be to you in this esoteric metaphor? Let's call it your silent life friend. Something that is invisible, something you take for granted, something you need every moment of every day. And when it's gone, you're aware of it. And you cannot survive. My partner today speaks of things that are hidden. They are hidden in history. And the more you learn about them, the more you know about the magnificence of not only yourselves, but of your ancestry. We told you that on this planet today, that the wisdom keepers, which I will say are the ancients with a capital A, they have that which is missing in the Western world. They carry the wisdom from the past, And the indigenous know it. And that is why the indigenous honor the ancestors, listen to the ancestors, and have stories passed down from them that they continue to teach to their children. It's a wise culture that will take the ancients and make it a part of the teaching of the little ones. And that is not what you've done. What if you could extend this? Who were the ancients before the ancients? And that is the study of the stars. The ones in the galaxy before you. Is it possible that their wisdom is also in you? And then you'd have to ask the question, well, where did you really come from? Is it possible that you, as a human soul, are an extension of what has been before Earth had life? And if that's the case, do you have wisdom beyond the planet that you could pull in and help what's going on now? That invisible friend called air is the ancient wisdom you carry. What if you could pull upon this right now? I would like to tell you something, dear ones. Many in this room have. The ones listening to this in the future will begin this. The very wisdom that I am talking about, this invisible friend you have, is yourself in your own Akash. That, combined with what you would call the creative source, is the secret for peace on earth. You are starting to discover energy beyond that which you would say is the energy you would need to live. This is energy within the human body. These are specific energies that have always been here for your humanness and the biology that you had before you ever came here. If I told you that the energies of the creative source and your body were the same for other life forms all over this galaxy, would you question that? Would you say, well, the other life forms probably were not humanoid? Yes, they were. Other life forms were probably not like us? Yes, they were. And we'll say it again. When you meet them someday, they may look a lot like you. What did you learn that was not from Earth, that you pull in right now in your Akash, and you intuitively are awakening to something that's from the stars? And what would that look like? I'll tell you. The astrologers are awakening to quantum astrology. The homeopathists are awakening to esoteric multidimensional homeopathy, energies beyond what they thought. Some of the most ancient and understood known facilitations are starting to have multidimensional attributes. That is an awakening from the stars. You didn't have it until now, and your Akash is starting to give it to you. This is your best friend. Air is so interesting. Did you know that right now, this particular group, where you are on the planet, is one of the freshest places you can be, with the purest air you could have? The reason? You study in school photosynthesis. You understand the air and carbon dioxide exchange. You understand that Gaia, the trees, are giving you the oxygen that you need for life. You understand that you give them back something they need. But did anyone ever tell you where most of the oxygen on the planet is produced? And if you would say, well, it has to be the forests, you'd be wrong. They're the smallest things that exist, the lichen. all of the moss, the rainforests, they are producing more oxygen than the trees. Therefore, you are in the right place at the right time to go outside while you can and breathe some of the purest oxygen that is being manufactured by your best friend, Gaia. You have another best friend in this metaphor, and it is your Akash. It is giving you the life force that will create something very special on this planet. New information for new health using the energy meridians of the body and so much more. So much more. Energy of the human body will be the secret for longevity and healing someday, more than anything that you have today. Dear ones, there is so much more than you recognize within yourselves that you've never been taught. I want you to leave this place thinking about this. Surrounding you right now, multicolored universe of energies that have your name on it, that walk with you in that which you call your Merkaba, carried partially by you, your biology, your DNA, and even your soul, all mixed together to be something divine, beyond that which reality which you understand, and is the absolute secret of health and life. This is why, as you discover these things in the future, you won't overpopulate yourselves. You'll have wisdom to know what works and what does not. A whole different way of producing food, electricity, and water. A new paradigm of living for the planet will wipe out all of the fears that you currently have in 3D. You don't know what you don't know. If you can hold this vision and think positively, this positive feeling will carry over even into your next life. And when you're born, your Akash will ring with it. That there's hope, you're here for a reason, and you don't have to suffer. The new generation on this planet is the key to everything that's going to take place. And as time goes on, you will be the new generation. Think of it. And so it is.
I invite all of you to close your eyes and just allow this space to disconnect from any thought that you may have had, and to disconnect from any chatter that might be happening in your brain. And if there is chatter in your brain, we can just acknowledge it and say, wow, beautiful brain. Thank you for all your chatter that you bring me. But we're going into some quiet time, because we're going to disconnect from that chatter in our brain. We're going to have some quiet time where we can connect with the energy of our heart. It's the energy of our heart that wants to communicate to us in this moment. Our beautiful heart that is present every beat throughout the day. Even if we are not aware of it, our heart is beating every moment of every day. And it's there in the silence, waiting to connect when you're ready to listen to the whispers of the silence that it exists in. And each of you has such a unique path. And the compass that guides you on that path is always the silent whisperings from your heart. And the one that guides and connects the heart is connected to the field of the Creator. that creative source that we all came from, and that creative source that we will all merge back into when we're no longer here on this physical plane of beautiful planet Earth. And so we just say thank you to our beautiful heart. Thank you for accompanying us on this amazing journey. And now we allow our heart to receive the love wash that is here, should you choose to receive it. We allow our heart to now receive that love wash from Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. So much you have experienced and seen, heard in these 2 days. I speak, of course, to the audience in front of me and not to the ones who will listen later. But for all of you, listening later and here, I'd like to give you a short metaphoric message. Dear ones, we have given you so many times the idea that light is coming. And that in itself is a metaphor. For the light we speak of is enlightenment. And this takes shape in so many ways. You could say that the light is coming in wisdom, in understanding, between human and human. That's not here yet. You can say light is coming in the inventions of the planet, so that electricity can be produced without any resource being used, and food can be grown where food could never be grown before, and there would be no hunger. That's not here yet. And on, you might say, that someday there will be enlightenment even in that which is your governments and the way things work in corporations, and that it will change the face of everything. I'd like to tell you that all of that hangs in the field. It hangs in the field. That means it is your future. For those in the room and for those perhaps listening might understand, but I will tell you, your planet is on a target. A road that has a target on it. And on this road there is something unstoppable, and that's you. There was a time when I said, humanity may do this if it chooses, and you can go back in time and hear this so many times. That you have free choice, dear ones, and if you choose to do this, then it will happen. And at this point, I will tell you, at the beginning of this year, that the snowball is rolling, and you're not going to stop it. And that snowball is white, and it's light. And it may take a little longer to get down the hill than you want. But I have seen this in other civilizations, in other planets of ascension, and some of you have been on them and recognize it, and your old souls here today, because that was the plan. That you would come back and have enough lifetimes of experience to feel it and remember it and know not to be afraid. To be part of the final battle of dark and light, which may surprise you in how it develops. But even in these last 2 days, you've seen perhaps what is going on and the hope of the future. That's why you're here. And those listening to my voice, I will say to you yet again, things are not always what they seem.
I want to give you, in closing, a little parable. It's the parable of a man named Woe. He's not actually a man. He could be a woe man. But we call him a man because it's convenient and you understand it better. It's a parable that stretches the imagination of reality, and that's what parables do. In some of mine, I will take you to planets that don't exist and situations that can't happen. But there's a reason. There are things you don't realize, attributes that you do not know about that which we call light. And so to show you what I mean, I'll give you this parable. If you ask a warrior, a soldier, what it's like to fight a battle at night, they will tell you it's not often done. Night battles, and even in current wars, are often with artillery. Very seldom do they meet another soldier on the field at night. Those battles are fought during the day, you say. But sometimes they're not. And if you talk to a warrior of old, where they're only using swords on the battlefield, and you say, what is it like to fight at night? They'll look at you and they say, you don't know who's there. And it's very, very difficult. And it's horror. That's the metaphor of this planet at the moment. You're in the dark. You are still in the dark. And you're fighting battles wildly in the dark. And that's the dysfunction you see. I'll take you to a planet that's very dark. And Woe is a warrior. And he's been fighting on this planet for a very long time with a very old rusty sword. And he's been put out onto the field so many times and thought it was his last time, as he would hear noises and think he's heard shapes and swing his sword. And he had been wounded a number of times, and he was in the trench once again, ready to go out and do it again. Paint this picture, it's pretty sorrowful, pretty ugly. But the planet itself was dark, and daylight never seemed to come, and it always seemed to be battle after battle with his rusty sword. It may seem funny and perhaps a little goofy what comes next. But a little green man showed up. He spoke funny. And he said to Woe, I have a special saber for you. And Woe said, really? I could use a new one, because mine's so old and so rusty. Thank you. And the little green man handed him this. And it didn't look like a sword at all until they pressed a button, and out came a lightsaber. Wow. The little green man went away. Woe knew he was going to win this battle, because as soon as he turned that on, he would then be able to swipe his enemy, and he would be chief on the battlefield, and he would be winning this battle, and he wouldn't have to worry anymore. But that's not what he got. When it was time for the warriors to go on the field, and they rang the bell, and up they came out of the trenches, he raced out into the field, and he hit that button, and up came the light. And what he saw around him, he didn't expect. All of the warriors that he had never seen before, he'd only heard him before, they showed up. And all around him, there was shock, as they saw not him with a saber sword, but the light that it created And they looked around, and for the first time they saw each other eyeball to eyeball. And they recognized they were all in shabby clothes with rusty blades, and they'd even forgotten what they were doing, and they saw each other as human beings for the first time. And collectively, without a word being spoken, while he was holding that light, they all dropped their swords and looked at each other. And almost every single one of them walked around. For the first time, they could see one another. Didn't even recognize the uniforms. Didn't even know why they were fighting. And it was the beginning of light on that planet. One man. This is a metaphor for you, as goofy as it might sound, of light where there is no light. That's what you get. You don't know how dark it is here until you see the brilliance of the wisdom that is coming. You don't see how dark it is here until someone comes along with ideas that have never been there before. And you go, why didn't we think of this before? With inventions that have never been seen before to change not just the atmosphere of a technology, but rewrites an economy. Those are the kinds of things that happen with light. Those are the things that are hanging in the field. You've had a glimpse of them in these 2 days, of what is possible on this planet. So I will echo what my partner said earlier. Don't be afraid, because you have that saber sword. And slowly you'll understand how to create the light, what it means, and how to put it in the framework of mastery and not conflict, and how to use it so gently and so softly and so beautifully that you illuminate areas that needed illuminated and they never even knew you were there. Like the one who strikes the match in the dark room, you can't see who it is, but you see all around you. This is the future of this planet, regardless of what you're being told. This is the future of this planet, and old souls are the ones with the experience that they have who will bring it to fruition on this planet. In these times, there is no accident you are here. There is no accident that you are hearing these words. Now go from this place or this recording and think about what I have said and understand who you are and how the Creator has set this up and how you have agreed to it and why you're here. In compassion and love, which are the tools of the day, I congratulate you for being here and taking the mantle of this lifetime that may change everything on the planet. I am crying in love with humanity. And so it is.
Okay, so if you would come into a meditative, receptive position, I like to ask people to turn their palms up on their lap and just let those energy centers open and close your eyes for a moment. Take a nice breath in. And again, inhale through the nose. Exhale. Good. How about one more? Inhale. Nice. And then just bring your awareness inside your skin, into the island of your body, the individual, uniquely beautiful you island that is sitting in your chair. in the room full of this sea of humanity, of family. And feel the love in the room and the connection that's been created here today. Feel the healings that have been received just by your willingness, your intention to be here in the chair, to be with your beautiful family, to be reminded of the love of God that you are, that you walk forward with every step that you take. And let the island of your body just dissolve in that consciousness of light and awareness and the love of God. And the love of Kryon that lives inside and lives outside, that walks among us, that breathes with us, that feels our joys and our sorrows and honors the human that we have chosen to live as in this life.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. And once again, my partner steps aside. We described it before, a process that honors the human being. A process which requires that the human being remain where he is and shares the experience so he will feel it and know it. But he removes himself from the three-dimensional portal of the pineal. For in the moments that this takes place, it is not a gland. It is a meta-dimensional, multi-dimensional, beyond-dimensional portal. And it allows that which is the creative source inside you to expand. It is channeling. It is available. Always has been. In this new energy, however, it is available for the new information, the new thought, in new processes which are coming your way. Before we begin the message, and anything that is going to be taught in any combination, I just want to take a moment. What is your perception of what's going on here? Is it possible that there is an intelligent source in your universe, in your galaxy, that has helped put together what you see here? Is it possible that there is a plan that is benevolent to the human being because the human being is part of that creative source? Is it possible that you're never alone? And we've said those words for many years. Is it possible that the family is a little different than you think? Maybe it's even larger than you think. Is it possible that the message I'm about to give you is accurate, true, and real from a source that we claim to be not from this body of this human being? It took him a long time to understand that there was no trick here. It took him a long time because the box he came out of said there would be. That the box said there are consequences for what you're doing. That God doesn't talk to humans this way. That it could be a trick. And that the darkness of the planet wishes to invade your soul. And he learned quickly that every single time he opened this gland and the pineal became the portal for the higher self, he got the love of God. That's all he got. And it's pure. The purest thing he has ever experienced, it is always the same. It has never tainted itself. It has never biased itself. It has never told a human to do something out of integrity. It is always congratulatory. More than benevolent. It's family. Never changing. 23 years. That's the way it should be, dear ones. And if you need some kind of proof that this is real, maybe, just maybe, you would open that part of your heart that you have the ability to open and say, I would like to feel something. I would like perhaps some validation within my cells that this is correct. And you would begin then to feel the chills that you can only get when you know the truth is being revealed. And the truth is, I know you. I know your lives. I know what you're going through. Oh, soul, you are known to me. We have done so much together. You have not seen my face or my name. I'm with you all the time. And when I say I mean the entourage, which is in that, which you would count them to be trillions, knowing who you are, standing with you in the hardest times you have, through the tears, through the sorrow, and celebrating in those moments where you choose to toast victory. And sometimes the victory is health, and sometimes the victory is solutions over problems you had for a lifetime. We know you are. You're never alone. There is a system that my partner has taught about for years. It's a system we have mentioned in countless channels. But we've never really dedicated a channel to this system in the way we're doing today. That includes the new energy of today, because this is a system most of you don't even know how to use. Some of you use it all the time. You just don't know what you're doing. It's not intuitive. It's going to be the truth about synchronicity, and we'll subtitle it The Demise of the Bell-Shaped Curve. When something happens to you that is good, your friends around you will say, what a lucky person you are. What are the chances that this would have happened to you? When you go into a difficult situation, and perhaps it's even something that is common to humanity and in your culture like surgery, and you will come out with such marvelous results, and they'll say, well, this is beyond our expectations, and what lucky person you are. And then you do it over and over. Or you go someplace and you meet just the right person who knows somebody else who just has the right information, you end up with exactly what you wanted. What are the chances, they'll say, of this taking place? What a lucky person you are. Because humans do not see the structure of synchronicity. They see a structure of planning, forward-looking. And that is the only way you can achieve things. And in that puzzle, they even will mention positive thought. But that still is planning in a linear fashion so that you will arrive at a goal. And no matter what kind of process you have studied that will get you from A to B, there's got to be a goal. And in some of those, you will take the goal and you will paste it upon the refrigerator so you'll see it every day. And this is a linear human being. What if I told you there is a process that is not linear, that has no goal at all? Not one in linearity, but one in conceptualism. A conceptual goal that says, dear God, put me in the right place. I don't know where it is. Dear God, when you do it, make it comfortable for me. Let me see the sense of it. Make it easy. And bring me the right situations to take me there. How about that? And if you told that to someone off the street, they would say, you must be New Age. For it is not logical. For you sit in a place where you're expecting God to do everything. No, you're not. And that is the subject of today. No, you're not. You are simply changing the box of belief to include something that is not in 3D, but that some of you have been using for a very long time. You're just not aware of it. So today's lecture, that's what we're calling it. My partner liked that. Is about the power of synchronicity, the truth about it. What it is, where it comes from, who's involved in it, and what you can do to promote it. The human being creates it in their belief, and that is how it starts. Now, this comes from my partner who loves to talk about the parking angel. Because this is the example he uses, so we'll do the same thing. Many light workers love to use that which they conceive as a special angel which has powers with cars. And that special angel will sit above the car, raise himself up, and see in a giant parking lot who is pulling out and where it's taking place. And you will assign your power to the parking angel, and you will find where somebody is pulling out, and it works. Now, this is not forward planning, is it? It is a different concept. It's a concept that you could place yourself, or an angel which becomes your eyes, far above the parking lot to see the parameters of the entire lot and what is going on with everyone at the same time. And if that were possible, then you, in 3D, could direct your automobile to the right aisle and the right place to find that space at the right time, especially if you're in a line with others, to arrive when somebody is pulling out. And it works. Over and over it works. It works because this is the definition of synchronicity. Not planning ahead, but a concept that you assign and believe in that requires an overview of a situation that you cannot have in 3D. Synchronicity. Now, I cannot close this parking angel attribute without giving you the rest of the story that my partner demands I give you. There is no such thing as the parking angel. It's you assigning your power to a mythological creature with a P on its chest. And humans are very good at this. They don't believe they can do it, but they believe angelic powers can do it. Therefore, they assign their power away. It's you doing it, dear one. It's you doing it. You just don't believe it. So here we are with the example. It's the same one we've given over and over, my partner has given, that I've encouraged him to give because it is the one that so many of you understand. Now let us put that in a larger capacity. The scale of life and living. Here you find yourself in a situation where you wish to move forward into an area you don't know about. All you want to do is park. And when you park, that is a metaphor for putting the vehicle of the human being in a place that is appropriate for your life, wherever that would be. It gets you there so you can move on with what you came for. That is the metaphor. Humans have an idea where that would be. It's normal for you to build goals. I want to write a book. I want to create a healing center. I have this. I want to have that. It is absolutely normal. The first question I have to ask you is, are you okay if it is not what you think? Is it okay if it's better? Is it okay if it matches the Akash you came for? And the talents you have that perhaps you're not even aware of. Here's how it works. This is the how in 3D. You come to a meeting like this and you meet somebody for the first time. You didn't come with them. You meet them in a place in the back or in the bathroom. And you get to talking and you find out you have common interests. And then anything can happen. They have information you need. Or you have something they need. And you leave with a connection you didn't expect. And the connection leads to something else. For they know people that you don't know. Vice versa. You would call them, meet with them, if you wish. And here comes something that you didn't expect. You find yourself working in an area you didn't expect to work in, that fulfills a lot of the things that you wanted. Sometimes you come with no expectations at all, and you meet a partner of life. This happens over and over because you decided to come to where family is. Over and over, human beings have resigned themselves to being alone because nobody believes what they do. And they'll come to a meeting of like minds and find somebody that does. Life's changes, romance, synchronicity. They didn't plan it. You see the difference? The human who steps out of the door on a way to this meeting, what do? I'm getting ahead of myself. What do? It's going to be a good meeting. Let's give it energy. Let's show up. Let's have a good time. Let's leave. Or, dear Spirit, if I'm supposed to meet somebody, then let me have the wherewithal to at least look for it. Do you see the difference here? One is planning. One is expecting concepts that you cannot define. Concepts you cannot define, which would guide your life into a place you didn't expect. I am sitting in a room with old souls, and at least a quarter of you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching this. I wanted to tell you this is a little time sensitive.
Let's see if we can now suspend time as we move into a meditation and channel from Kryon. I invite you to suspend time with me now and move into a timelessness where your complete focus is feeling into a moment of gratitude that you have. In this moment, my gratitude is that our circle of 12 family have come together, helping each other with whatever issues we are facing in this moment. I have such gratitude that I have a family loving, supporting, accepting all of who I am. And let us extend that wave of love, support, and acceptance to the rest of our brothers and sisters facing whatever challenges they are going through in their moment. And let that wave of love, support, and gratitude filter out in a beautiful infinity loop that comes back to you as it is being acknowledged at a soul level of how your magnificence is feeding in and supporting the magnificence of every other precious soul that is currently living through these extraordinary transitional times on our beautiful planet. And now with gratitude, we sit back and enjoy the message coming through from Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. I've told you so many times, if this is the first time you've seen channeling, it may surprise you to know that that energy from the other side of the veil that speaks to you now, is fully cognizant of you. Every single soul who is watching this is known by God, known and loved by God. That is the premise since the beginning of all of the channelings. We approach every single channel with the idea that this might be your first time. And so there often is a review. This particular series that we are doing now in this healing time, this healing circle, has to do with the attributes of catalytic energy to healing. In other words, an energy that would then push on the potential of healing. Something perhaps that would happen which would open a door that wasn't there before for healing. The healing that we speak of is multifaceted. If you're in fear, and you walk around in fear, and perhaps you have for a long time, and there's many things to fear, it would be a healing, would it not, if you found a way not to be afraid. That would be a healing. If you're anxious about all things in your culture, in your world, in your family, if you are always anxious and you have trouble sleeping, if you found a way to negate that and make it so much better and be peaceful, that would be a healing. And then you go to that which you would commonly think of as healing. Is there a disease? Or there are aches and pains? Or there's something there that shouldn't be there? Whatever it is, even if it has no name, if you could eliminate that, that's a healing. And so these are the issues that we speak of in this series. Are there things that would pave the road, you might say, open a door, you might say, for those kinds of healings? The answer is yes. We've already given you two of them. I'm going to review the first one because this third one relates to it. Now, I'll identify this third one in just a moment. Let us review that your body, that 4D body of yours, is mostly made up of chemical reactions. And those chemical reactions are perhaps triggered by the electronic signals from your brain. But what I am talking about is you are mostly chemical. And we talked about that in the first of this series. Now, if you are listening to this and did not hear the first channel, you can find it. These are all presented together for free as a series. If you are a member of this portal, you can also find it. So this is the third one. The first one talked about that which is perhaps confusing for many of you, and that was, it enters into the cognizing or the belief of all of this, that chemistry is part of what causes all things, whether it's fear or anxiety. It also is the measure of how long you will live. And so we said that anything that you can do to change the chemistry of your own four-dimensional body, not an esoteric body, just the four-dimensional. We're talking about the reality that you experience chemically. Anything you can do to improve the chemistry paves the road for healing. I think about the history of your medicine. when they realized all of the chemical reactions that go to making things work in your body, when they saw that the first way of healing was allopathic, if they can alter the chemistry, if they can push and pull this chemical so perhaps it won't go over here or do these things, that would then be some kind of healing. And that is what major medicine still does today. The allopathicness, the reactions that they get, that has been what you grew up with and you're used to. We spoke of the homeopathy many times in the past. It's an idea that a tincture, which is also a chemical, would send a signal instead of getting a reaction. And that signal then would be accepted by the innate. That signal would be instructions to heal. But it's still chemical, isn't it? So back to the premise. If you could change the chemistry of your body, you won't have created the chemistry of anxiety or the chemistry of fear, or worse. You would not have a chemistry which shortens your life, because fear and anxiety will shorten your life. Well, there is something that will change the chemistry that has been proven to change the chemistry. In the first series of this, we had the parable of woe, who found out that he could take charge of his own cellular structure and he could steer his ship into safe places. That was in the first one. It had to do with your control, which many of you don't even think you have. So this third one is also you controlling your chemistry, but through a completely separate perception. And now I'll give the word, and then I'm going to tell you about the research. And the word is laughter. Laughter. How many of you who have had perhaps a stressful situation found it dissolved, even if it's temporarily, by laughter? Perhaps it's even unexpected laughter. You tune in perhaps to a program that really is funny, and you find yourself laughing and laughing, and just for those moments, do you realize that you're in that very interesting perception where your body chemically is altered, just while you're laughing, is altered, because the anxiety is gone for those moments. Did you realize that? I think most of you are realizing that laughter seems to then suppress fear and anxiety. And so many will turn to laughter in the programs that they watch and all of these things for an escape. If they all simply started laughing at nothing, and you'll say, well, you can't do that. Yes, you can. You can pretend. But when you start laughing, even though there wasn't anything funny around, something happens. Your body starts to generate a new chemistry of funny. And others around you will start laughing at you, and you with them, without a joke, without a situation. And all of you will be laughing, and you can do it for a very long time. And then you're laughing at one another, and you're laughing at the situation because your chemistry starts changing. That's a fact. What has happened since then is it's not necessarily simply relegated to yoga laughter. Mainstream has discovered it as well. There is a lineage of videos that started as long as a decade ago that has the same theme. And the theme is a man laughing on a train, or a yoga master entering the subway who is going to laugh and chuckle, and in that, he has everyone else laughing on the train within a few minutes. Now, how many of you ride a subway? And how much fun is that? Are the people laughing? You don't know them. The answer is no. You have all kinds of people with all kinds of problems, and you're in the subway. Can you imagine one person starts laughing, and then within a few minutes, they're all laughing. And as the other ones laugh, more laugh. And the whole subway or train car ends up hysterically laughing. Proven. And it's all over what you call your media, your tube media. And you can watch various degrees of production. In fact, even commercials. One manufacturer of a product decided it would suit them to do this and show it as a commercial. This is known. Laughter is infectious. If you laugh, your chemistry starts to change. If you make it something you'll do often and reasons for it, perhaps you'll laugh with the joy of your magnificence. Can you do that? Or the love that you feel. Can you do that? If you begin to laugh on a regular basis, dear ones, laughter and joy will change your chemistry, and it paves a road for you to see a light you never saw before. It helps you cross the bridge when we get there into the circle of 12. Laughter is number 3. It's real, it's in 4D, it's not hard, and it works. That's the message of today. It is an actual, scientifically proven fact that your laughter changes your chemistry. And you know it and you felt it. Because that then relieves you of the fear and the anxiety when you do this. Why not do it on a regular basis? Why not have it be that which you do every day? Why not be someone who's known to laugh? These things that I give you are very real. If you want a healing today, why don't you start with this one? And so it is. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching this. I wanted to tell you this is a little time sensitive.
Let's focus on receiving. I give myself permission to receive. I am willing to receive. I allow myself to receive infinite blessings that are constantly coming my way. I graciously receive the beautiful gifts that I am given, and my gratitude allows me to share this gift with others. And the more I allow myself to receive, the more I am able to give. And with great gratitude, we will now receive not just the message from Kryon, but the deep love and honoring that Kryon has for you.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. This is the fourth and final channel that we'll discuss the faces of fear. Again, let me say I am aware that this is given today, for those who are part of the Circle of 12, a closed membership that you have elected to be in. But the channel itself is available later for all of those who wish to hear the message. We will not confine or close important information and messages to a few. This has been the way of it and will continue to be. So if you have come across this message and you're finding that it's 4 of 4 and you want to know where the other 3 are, they're right where you found this one. If it is not, it's easily discoverable because they've all been recorded and presented. We speak of fear, and we have for many, many years. This one in particular, I have saved till last. It is probably the most complex and also one of the most controversial. Because there will be those who say, I don't believe that's where the fear came from. I have to tell you a story. As you sit there, listening, watching, your mind, your consciousness, your soul, all that makes up you is more than you. There is a tremendous influence of your lineage. It is all through your body. If you look at it chemically alone, you have that which scientists understand is inheritance. You would inherit perhaps certain traits from your parents through the bloodline, through the combination that creates your DNA. And it goes back quite a far piece. Your grandparents, the ones before that, all of that is in there. And some of you will look at it and say, that is why my fingers look the way they do, or my face looks, or my hair. And you will start to say, and that is the end of it. It is not. Because there is also consciousness, talents, things that have happened that influenced the ancestors' lives that you carry. Is it possible, for instance, that you had a great-great-grandmother, or perhaps even further, and there were issues with that woman regarding childbirth, something that is very important to a woman? Is it possible that it could be then carried and carried and carried and carried, and what you then end up with in your life is the same issue? Because you might say there's a residual because it was such a big issue. Now that's chemistry. First of all, the answer to that question is yes. You are a combination of all of them. And not that you have all of their traits or their fears or their talents. You have the ones that were passed that had the most influence and perhaps were the highest perceived ones that they had. It's in there, all of it. Sometimes it doesn't show itself until certain other things happen, and then you even surprise yourself. Like finding, for instance, you were talented to do something you'd never tried. And then later you find a great-grandmother who was also talented in the same thing. But again, that is chemistry. Now let's put upon this the controversial one, past lives. Is it possible that your own soul's journey through the civilizations of the planet carry things also that have happened in the past that you've carried right up to this, you now and your future? This goes to perhaps many times you might have been a sailor, and then you awaken now and you realize you still want to be a sailor. This is mostly for the men. This happens constantly, and you'll find it even today under the guise that policemen, and firemen, and they even live together, and you'll say, well, my dad did it, so I'm doing it. What if it was inbred in you for past lives because 2 or 3 lives ago you were also doing it? And so it was absolutely natural for you. Now that is something that you want to do because you say that it's in your blood, but what if you've done it in the past? Turn the corner. What if you had in your immediate past life a drowning? And today you find yourself not wanting to be even near water. Dear ones, these are fears based upon the past. These fears are exceptionally real. They keep you from doing things that you might really want to do. And these things that they keep you from doing might be wonderful things. Sometimes you're kept from having a partnership that works. Because sometime in some past life, you learned something that is a process or an attribute that you carry in that makes it so partnering is difficult. There are some who have made up their minds that they want to have 100 children because that's all they've ever wanted to do. Perhaps it's because in the last 2 or 3 lives, they couldn't have any. Perhaps you have come in and say, I really don't want children. Maybe you had a lot of them in the past lives. So you see, it's not all fear, but there are influences. But the fears and the face of fear, the one we talk about right now, is the one that would be fear from past experiences of either yourself or your ancestors that are carried into your own psyche today. We have spoken of this in channel after channel. And you might say, all right, I know this is true. I don't know what fears I have, but in retrospect, you're right, Kryon, because there are things that I shy away from doing. I don't like confrontation. And there are others, by the way, who love it. You might say, well, there are certain kinds of things I will and will not do, and you say, and I never understood what the hesitation was. This is why. These are, you might call them imprints from the past. What I want to tell you is that you all have them. I want to, again, diverse. If you're a mother and you have more than one child, especially let us say they are the same gender. Let's say you have 2 boys, same parents, maybe they're even close, you're the same mother and the father, the 2 boys, maybe they're close together in age, and they're vastly different. And you might say, how does that occur? One is afraid of their shadow and the other one is an achiever. And you go, they're from the same gene pool, my husband and I. Dear ones, you're taking a look at the variety of the imprints from the ancestors and their own past lives. They are trying now to make up for certain things that didn't happen or relax for certain things that did before. They're still learning. This is I would say, a catalyst for you to understand some of the fears you have that are not understandable otherwise. I have said this before, and I will say it again. Every imprint that you have, like this one, based upon your ancestry, based upon your past life, or your bloodline, every single one of them is rewritable. There is nothing set in stone. It is simply a starting place. Just a starting place. It's an invitation for you to discover what they are, analyze them for what they are, and then change them. Not only that, it's a platform for awakening to things you didn't know you had. My partner, in his 40s, came upon that which is today the Kryon. My partner had no speaking experience, was afraid of crowds, did not necessarily ever want to stand on stage. The man was afraid, and the afraid was acceptance. Like so many of you who do not want to do public speaking, when all the eyes are on you, it is not a comfortable feeling for most. For some, they crave it. And when he went to me, and he said, "What am I going to do about this fear? I am afraid, Kryon, to be in front of people. I lose my place. I stammer. I stutter. I can't think of what I'm doing. I'm not relaxed, and people see it immediately, and that the message is not a good one because of that." And so I told him, and he has told many of this story. I said, "I want you to go back into Greece. Were you an orator on stage? And people sat and listened to your poetry. They loved the wisdom that you had and the phrases that you used. Go back and mine that, like a miner goes and digs in the ground for the golden nugget. That's the golden nugget that is in your past that you can now pull forward to your present." Do you see how this might work both ways? You might have fears that crop up from a past life, and you may have other lives that are past where it was all mitigated and was all beautiful. That is what he did. The result is what you see, is that he can step on a stage with thousands looking at him and be completely and totally relaxed. This took a while, but each time he stepped out, he said, "I am the orator," and then he would go on stage. It was him. He wasn't pretending. He wasn't role-playing, because it belonged to him. All of the things that you have experienced in your past lives are still you in a certain way. It allows for you then to rewrite them, to unscramble the puzzle, and to work with the things that might bother you. But in addition, remember, there's also talents and revelation. I have said this to you before, and I'll say it again, that your awakening to these truths today will mean that when you are reborn, after you pass through the veil and after you go through all of this lifetime, when you return, this awakening today will stay with you. You'd never have to do it again. That's part of the new energy. Oh, there's so much more. I need to give a channel yet again of the attributes of the new energy that change absolutely everything you think you knew, especially about past lives and future lives. There is so much hope. Remember this. What you learn today, you'll remember next time. What have you learned today? Do not fear the past. It has no control over you. Not really. And so it is.